welcome to Lessons Learnt. I'm Sherry and this is your Wednesday video. I have videos every Wednesday and also Mondays and Fridays. Wednesday is kind of a grab bag sort of video. You never know what I'm going to be doing or sharing with you. So today we're going to be doing a little crafting, if you will. Not quilting, but just some general crafting here. I have an idea. I have a necessity actually, and I wanted to explore some other options than what I've done or what I've seen with regard to quilting project boards. And I just want to show you a little bit of what I have done in the past. It's working and not working at the same time. So I'll talk about that, and then I'm going to talk to you about what my idea is for a more efficient, a more durable, a more cleaner way, I guess, to make some project boards without having to buy them, and what the reasons are behind why I might want to do this. First of all, I want to show you a little of the history of my constructing project boards. This is the first one I ever made, and this is simply a piece of cardboard with some batting scraps glued on with, not glued on, but taped on with painter's tape. And believe it or not, even though I've pushed this tape down many times, probably every time I get it out to use it, it works. It works fine. The problem I have with it is you can't get too heavy with your fabric pieces on here or it will fold in half. This one actually has not folded in half yet, but there is a little spot right here where it has some stress on it. I can still use this, but one thing I don't like about using batting is it's very hard to clean all those little ravelings and strings from your fabric off of there, threads, all of that. You can take a lint roller, one of those tape lint rollers, and get a lot of it off, but you can't get a lot of it, you can't get everything off, and it also kind of pulls at this batting. I think this one is actually a polyester batting, which in theory should not grab threads as bad as the cotton, but it does, and you can see that I've used it. It's got threads embedded into it, so I can no longer really use the tape roller to get much off of it. Whatever's left I have to pick, and you can see where I've been picking that it's left little bits of damage on it. I can still use this. It's not pretty. I think this one's a 12 by 12. Yes, it's a 12 by 12, so I could get most all of my pieces on there if I'm making an under 12-inch block. My next endeavor at making project boards was also with cardboard and batting again. This time I used a cotton batting, and it acts about the same as the polyester does as far as grabbing the threads. This one I actually used some decorative duct tape on it. This one here I didn't have any sort of binding or anything on it, any sort of frame to it, and that's fine. This one I wanted to have a little bit more of a frame to it and kind of imitate the pretty Lori Holt ones, but I did not want a print binding on here, so this is why I went this route. And I thought, well, if it's just going to be something boring, I might as well just use tape, and that's actually worked quite well. So this is a very economical way to do it. You've got batting scraps, everybody's got pieces of cardboard from their deliveries from Amazon. Just take one of those boxes and get your good piece. Now you can see what's happening here again. A little bit of stress on there. So if I've got this loaded down, it does this. Yeah, it does. So not the end of the world. I just have to be careful. And then I made it in a bigger size as well. And I use this one quite a lot, but this one has a really bad thing in it. So if I've got stuff on it and I'm carrying it down here and not paying attention, I can lose everything that's on here. I don't think that that's actually happened. There's been some near misses, but I don't think it's actually happened. But I do want something more durable than this. And I'll keep these as a backup. The other thing is I bought something recently that I really like, and that's this wool mat cleaner. And it gets every single thread off of your wool mat. So I was thinking, I need to make project boards with wool. How can I do that? Went online looking for some fabric. Actually, I went to Joann's and found something that would work like this. And I'm going to show you what that is. First of all, I went to Michael's and I purchased a large piece of foam core board. This is the, let me get it right for you. I got a 24 by 36 piece. My idea is to make two 18-inch boards, and then there will be a sliver left over there. I also bought from Joann's a piece of wool, and I have a yard of wool. This is pricey. This is $22 a yard. So just like your wool batting that you buy for your quilts, if you want to, you know, do a wool batting for a quilt, I have this 1 yard piece that I am going to glue onto this board and then figure out some sort of edging just to kind of make it nice and finished looking. At this point in this video, as I'm making it, I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do about that. I'm thinking about making some double fold bias tape where it's, you know, you have your strip and then you fold it in, and then that way you, once you set it on the edge, you've got finished edges on both sides, and gluing that on. That's kind of how my idea is shaping up at the moment. So I took this as a test to see if it would pick up strings, and yes, it does. Let me see if I can get some ravelings on here. It doesn't take long for ravelings to show up once you're using raw edges of fabric on here. I see some already. There we go. There's one. Here's a couple. I don't know if you can see those, but there's my ravelings starting, and I can take this and it just picks them right up, and it doesn't do any damage to it like the other batting does. So there they are. There they are. It does pull up a little bit of your wool every time, just like with your mat, but it doesn't do near the damage that the other types of battings do. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to cut this, the size of this piece of foam board, glue it on, and then work on our edges. First, I'm going to take this over to the ironing board and get this fold out of that. So I'm going to go ahead and iron that, get that all nice and flat before I do my gluing. Okay, my first step is going to be, now that it's all ironed, I folded it up into 4s, and so I'm going to cut an 18-inch square. This batting comes in 36-inch width. So I bought a yard, so I have a 36 by 36 square. It is not cut straight, but I do have enough extra to get it straight. So I'm going to cut a big 18-inch square off of my raw edges, this edge and this edge, and when I open it I will have a 36-inch square. Okay, so a 60 millimeter would be better than my 45. I don't even own a 60 millimeter because this was so thick cutting through. Of course, you could cut it singularly if you wanted to. So now I have my big 36-inch square, and this is 24 by 36. So I think maybe what would be the best thing to do is to go ahead and cut my my extra off the edge here. Let me show you. Here's my 36th link, and so I have this much left over. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I could just wrap this over, but I don't think I want that bulk on there, and I don't know where it's going to end up once I cut this down into 2 pieces. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it the exact size of this board, which is 24. So I'm going to measure over 24 and go on and cut that. Okay, so let's cross our fingers and see if this fits on here. Otherwise, I've just ruined my piece of wool. Okay, looks like I did it good. It all fits. I also have, now I can take this sticker off, I'm pretty sure, if I want to have the white showing underneath. But the other side of this is black, so I might take a look and see what kind of effect that gives. If it would be distracting and I should stay with the white or what. Let's see what it does. Black on one side. I got this at Michael's and I think it was $16, but it's a good 1/4 inch deep and it's very, very, very durable. It's not flimsy at all. So if I did it that way, you're going to see some shadowing from the black. Okay. And if I do it this way, it's going to be very light. So which do I want? Which do I want? Do I want this? Or this? Kind of like the mottled looking one. I don't know. You'll just have to hang on and see what I do. Alright, so here's what I'm using as an adhesive because it's what I have. It's the Sullivan's Quick Stick Fast Aggressive Tack. Bonds fabric and paper. So this is a little bit on the slick side, but I'm hoping that it will work. I'm going to take this board outside and liberally spray it, and then it does need a couple of minutes to sit before you put anything else on it to make it adhere. So I'm going to do that. By the time I get it back in here and sat back down, hopefully we can put our wool on. Okay, unfortunately, everything that I just filmed after I sprayed with the glue was deleted. I'm not sure what happened, but my phone seemed to be too full of storage, or not enough storage, I guess, and I missed it. But basically what I did is I had ironed my wool, got it nice and flat, and I cut it into a 36 by 36 inch piece. And then, which was basically what it was, I just needed to cut off the excess, some of the excess. I glued it onto my 2 boards, well, my 1 big board, and then I cut it this way, which you're going to see. like this. So I have, let me see if I can get this down where you can see it. So basically I had it like this, right? So I cut this 18 by 18. This leaves me with this little strip here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. I guess I could use a longish sort of board for a block at some point. Or I could actually cut those into 3 square boards, little ones. Not sure what I'd use those for. And then I'm going to have another one just like it here when I cut this off. Now what I used was I scored, this is the back, I scored it with an X-Acto knife here. And then I went back with an El Cheapo cutter. This is just a generic thing that I got from Temu that I thought didn't work, and it doesn't work great. It doesn't move very smoothly, even though I have loosened this. I have to just keep loosening it and keep loosening it to get it to actually move, and it only wants to go backwards. But it's working fine for this purpose because I don't want to use my good rotary cutter on this board. However, once I cut this, my wool is still attached, so I do run my regular OFA through there just to cut the wool. And this blade has just about had it too, so I'm not wasting a new blade or anything. Okay, so all I have left to do, here's my 18 by 18 that I wanted. Much more sturdy. It's not going to bend. I like it. And then I'm using an old ruler, not my Quilter Select ruler, to do all of this with, because I don't want to jab into my ruler with this OFA cutter or this generic cutter, which is a little bit unsteady. I would hate to, you know, gouge out the edge of my good ruler. So this is a good ruler too, but it's not my favorite anymore. I don't use them anymore. If something does happen to it, it's not the end of the world. So I'm going to take my X-Acto knife first and cut down through here just to kind of score down through, not all the way to my OFA mat, but most of the way through the foam board. And now I'm going to take this and push down farther. Make sure I've got it all cut through. And usually I have this. So all's left to cut is the wool. So I am going to take my regular OFA and cut down through here without cutting into the foam board. Just cutting the wool, hopefully. Maybe. Like I said, this blade isn't the best either because it needs to be changed, but if I can just get it through that wool, that'll be good. I don't think the other cutter would go through the wool. It's just not doing it. There we go. I had to put some muscle into it. Alright, get these shavings off of here. You have to put your muscles into this. There might be a better way somehow, but this is called working with what you got. Okay, so there's my 2 boards. Alright, I'm going to put the lid on this dangerous thing and put that back in my drawer. And this dangerous thing, and I used a white pen on the back to draw those lines. There again, I used my old ruler, so I didn't get any of this. I don't know if it's something permanent or not. It just says white marking pen by Clover. So there we go. So now I have my 2 boards that I need that I can clean with my wool mat cleaner. Yep. Oh, I love it. I love it. And it's not tearing it up. It does take a little bit off, but it's not tearing it up like it does with the regular batting. Alright, so now for what we're going to put around the edges. Alright, so now for our binding, our border we want to put around our boards. I've got a piece of muslin here. I'm going to cut 3-inch width pieces and put them together just like I would binding for a quilt. So I figured I need about 8 pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those. And my 8 pieces with the fabric by 3 inches wide. So I'm going to go and join all these pieces together. Alright, here's the binding that I made. It is not bias, as you saw. I was just cutting with the fabric, and I cut twice as much as I needed, but I'll always use this. I can always use some 3-inch strips of muslin for something. But here's how I did it. I folded it in half, 3 inches first, and then when I opened it back up, I ironed in, folded the edge, the raw edge inside halfway, and then there's some space here that will wrap around the board. So in effect, it's going to be like this, finished. So what I'm going to have to do is figure out how to attach this. Now I cannot sew through this board because it is just too much, too thick. I'm not going to put any machine I have through that. So I'm going to glue it, and I'm probably just going to use some craft glue. You could certainly use hot glue. Hot glue will show through probably. It gets hot and kind of gets up into the fibers and kind of leaves little, wherever you left a dot, it leaves a dot on the outside too. So I'm not going to risk that, but I'm going to start probably here on the front so that I can get my front exactly the way I want. When I get over to the edge, I'm going to do a little doodad, kind of like we do with our quilts, and do my corner here. So let's get the glue out and get started. This is called Aleene's Original Tacky Glue, America's favorite craft glue. So that's what I'm going to use. I get this going here. See how it comes out on a piece of scrap here. Yeah, looks like I might need to help it along. I'll be right back. Just going to run the edge of my board right into that fold right there in the center. Just kind of let it hold there and get it in place first, and then I'm going to start with my little dabs of glue. Hopefully these won't show through. We shall see. Would be really nice if I could get a bead of glue going here. I don't know if we will or not. This stuff is really thick. Okay, that's working pretty good. I discovered I do need to put it more to the top edge and not towards the center of that. So actually I can actually see, I think it might go clear later, but I can actually see my glue dots under there. So I went back and I put some just under the edge here, and I think that's what I'm going to aim for going forward. So now we got our tricky corner here. There we go. See how I did that? Just open it, split the difference on your corner there like this, See that? And then tuck in those little corners there, and then you're going to have a nice mitered corner. Not much different than what you do on your quilts. So I want to make sure I get this exactly where I want it. Might take a second for me to get situated here. There we go. Let's get some wonder clips. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I will leave this in these clamps or these clips for a little bit, just to kind of, I'm moving them around because of my glue. I want to make sure my glue adheres good, and looks like I might need one about right here. Yeah, I think that's where I started, and I was gluing down a little bit lower. I might have to come back and glue along the edge a little bit more again. We'll see. We shall see. So I'm going to let this sit for a while and then come back and do the back side, which still needs to be done. Okay, so here's our final product. Turned out pretty good. Nice and neat. No other colors to interfere with my blocks. I did end up putting some washi tape around this side, not to secure it, but rather to just kind of neaten it up a little bit, because I did get glue along the edges that kind of squeezed out, and it wouldn't clean up very well on this black. Probably wouldn't even be shown on white, but this just happens to be black on the back. I think the only thing I would do differently is I think I would take my binding, let me show you, and I think I would put a little bit of a, what do you call it, a top stitching on it before I put it on. See how I top stitched each edge there? I think that would give it a little bit more of a finished look. It would almost look like it's sewn down, even though I would still be gluing it down. And I was thinking too, if you did want some flair to your boards, you could put some colored thread in and maybe do an embroidery stitch on from your machine, something like that if you wanted. Or you could even like take a plain one like this and sew a ribbon on it. Rick-rack would be cute. I just want mine plain because I don't really want to see any other colors than what my block is that I'm doing. So let me load this up so you can see how it functions. Okay, here it is. This has got all of my berry wreath pieces on it. Current project I'm working on. It doesn't have every single thing because I have a whole bunch of these itty bitty ones and I just need to corral them inside of a bag. So I didn't put those on here, but there is absolutely no bend to this board whatsoever, even with all this weight. So I can easily transport it from one place to another and not worry about it folding up on me. So there you have it. I think it's great. Awesome. And the best part, I can clean it with my wool mat cleaner. Yes, this was kind of the whole purpose of doing this, is to see if I could get something together that could be cleaned a lot better. So I'm going to get to making my next one. I won't do that on camera, but I'm going to do my binding this way on that one with the top stitching. but it'll basically look the same as this one. It'll just look a little bitty bit different, but not much. So I think these are great. You should try it, and you don't have to get such a big piece. You can just do one. I did look up on Fat Quarter Shop how much the Lori Holt boards are, and she does have an 18-inch board, although they're not available right now. There's several different colors of binding you can get those in. They are $24 a piece, $23.98. A 14-inch is $19.98, and a 7-inch is $15.98. So the 18-inch is definitely better value than the smaller ones. But for my project here, I spent around 30, what did I say, 22 and 16. I spent $38, and I'm going to get 2 boards. So that's $19 each for an 18-inch board. So it is cost effective to do it this way. It's not super cheap, but you can always go down to the cardboard and the leftover batting that you have that I did before. It works too, just doesn't work quite as nice as this. So I'll call this my luxury design board. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video, watching me kind of think this project out and seeing it turn out to be a success, and maybe you will be able to make some of these type of boards for your craft room as well, for your quilting room. Alright, we'll see you soon on Finish It Friday, and then later again on Monday Quilt Chat, and then back around for another Wednesday video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!